Hello, everybody, and welcome to Keeping It Spiritually Simple. I am Sandra, your host, and I am here with an amazing and very unique guest, Patrick McCormick. And he's got a lot to share and a lot to tell about his life, how he got here, and what he's doing, and so on. I'm actually going to leave it up to him. So here we go. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
Sandra, thank you so much for having me. It's when you asked about getting on, you weren't getting the Kartron information for our events.
Mm-hmm.
That one thing leads to another, and so here we are. So the universe has interesting ways to cause us to do things that sometimes are not so apparent. So now I'm on your show. This is actually really exciting because I haven't done a show for a while. So thank you for having me.
Oh, it is my honor. It's my honor. I'm just glad the timing was worked out. So, Patrick, share with everybody, including me, what your life has been like, how things changed. Talk about stuff. I'm not going to give away anything. I'm going to let you share.
Well, I'm going to do just like a synopsis real quick, and you'll see what resonates. So I'm not going to use up the time on that, but this way you guys will know, because your event that was coming up today caused me yesterday to go, who is going to the show? What is this Patrick, and how did it get to be this way, this self? And I was like, well, that's an interesting thing. And, if you pose a question just right, it's not a question, it's a query, and this information will show up. So it caused me to create a whole different approach. And I started reviewing my life for the first time, and I came up with a chart that basically I said, oh my God, look what I've done since 1962 to now in 6 decades. And I laid out on everything that happened and the dates. And it was like, whoa, this is interesting. And so I'm just going to go through real quick and just list out what happened and when, and almost like a table of contents.
Okay,
it's weird putting your life in a table of contents, but because your whole life can be on one page. And so my life was normal, and then I had a walk-in journey during the harmonic convergence of 1987 on Bell Rock. Then I went to Los Angeles and for the Whole Life Expo that year, and then Maui, and then a quantum road trip across the United States, and wound up in Florida. And so as this thing started happening, when I hit Lemuria on Maui, right, time became less relative. And because, our lives are so chronological, even our sentences, if you look at it and really just make it a study where you would think about how many words, sentences that we say are time relative, like I will do it, or I'm going to, or I did. It's all chronological, and that's starting to not apply anymore. And so then the reason I did that, this is the who, what, where, when, why, how, is because then I found my purpose. And then the how is I just show up and face life head on. And getting to a point where you train yourself. Being on Maui from 89 on, I was able to basically get to the place where I can have a spiritual life where you're living on the edge and you're more comfortable that way. So the dates that happened, 62 came in 1971. I started looking at life as movies and said, I need to do that. And that's when I started recording life. In 1987, became a walk-in during the harmonic convergence. In 89, I wound up on Maui, Lemuria, and did that walk. And in 1990, I created my own study of advanced social systems called Immunology. In 91, I met the Hawaii Kingdom and the King of Hawaii and did a United States sovereignty at the same time. In 1994, Kartron came through after doing a bunch of other beings. And then in 2001, I did the redemption process for American sovereignty for myself. And then in 2008, one of the more notable things with Hawaii was we took over the palace in Oahu, and that was unique. And then in 2013, I went to Seattle. Michael Shane invited me, and that started my quantum road trip. I found out I could get supported for spiritual work. It's like, oh my God, I can do that. And in 2014, I met my friend Rebecca, and then we went on that trip and did the spiritual thing, which was very interesting. And then 2015, I created the quantum field generator. So the quantum road trip in 2013 was to apply the divine teachings in a practical way on the road. And I did that for 5 years. And so in 2015, I created the quantum field generator based upon 20 years of research. And it was a tactile demonstration of ancient temple sciences that fits in a suitcase, and it's quilting, and you can stand on it. So it generates a portal, and it's made of quilting. And in 2017, I wound up here in Florida, which are the shores of Atlantis. And then in 2018, I started doing the screenwriting school so I can get ready to make all these stories that I recorded since age 9 in 1971 into movies. And then in 2019, I found out that I am very good friends with the Firestone of Atlantis, and I've been working with that, which is the power stone that they didn't use right. See, anyway, I'm like, I successfully avoided Atlantis up until 2019 or 2018. And then in 21, Kartron, I've been doing Kartron ever since, really. And 2014 started the broadcasting thing. I needed a portable way to support myself. And so I just said, I could just do this whenever. And it's a good thing I did it back then, because now everything's internet. So in 21, we created the Temple of Divinity and the Temple of Divine Life, and that's current Earth, but you needed a place to put your spirituality. Now in 2022, we have the new Earth. So that last year was current Earth, the highest place to be with the technologies, and then 2022 is the new Earth. So that's what I've done in 6 decades. God, I could have done more.
I'm like sitting here like, I'm just in awe of the story. It's like, this is so freaking cool. So tell our viewers, what's a Kartron? Who is Kartron?
Well, we were doing this work in Lemuria. This person I was with, Abra, she was one of the head, in charge of the main temple, and she was here trying to get the divine plan going. And we met at the Harmonic Convergence Whole Life Expo in '87, and I decided to go to Maui and see about helping. And so we're doing these different beings, and I was able to channel. John Lennon jumped on me during the Lost Lennon tapes in '89, but I don't like doing famous people, because it's like, all this expectation and everything. Like, no. And Lennon still had a bullseye on his back. They were watching for him to come in again. So it's like, no. And it would also overshadow my destiny, whatever that is or was supposed to be. And so then in '94, Kartron came through in 1994, January 5th at the Grand Hyatt Wailea by the waterfall. And he said, okay, let's do this. And it was, he rolled up his sleeves as a divine being, because he was watching for 10,000 years. And that was the time that he decided to intervene. And so he came in and, decided to show and do the process of a hands-on divine intervention, because all these other beings were not intervening, and those were the old laws. So the light worker was suffering, because it's like, we come here for this work of divinity, and then it feels like God doesn't have our back. And so we're left alone to flounder, or it feels like all alone and behind these enemy lines of this world to bring to Earth, and there's no support. So it can be very disillusioning. And so Kartron says, no, let's do this. And that's what he even addresses the Federation and everything. And so he then has facilitated this ever since. So Kartron is an interdimensional being from the realm of essence. The realm of essence are societies of beings that are so ascended that they're close to the central sun of our galaxy, and they're essence. They're not physical. And once in a while, one of the members will go, and they will go into some place in the galaxy, and they will help that race evolve. So these are very advanced beings that will incarnate into form. So they're plasticine, right? And so Kartron for 10,000 years has been watching this outside of the Akashic record just to observe. And when he arrived here 10 millenniums ago, he split himself into 5 primary personality subsets, one for each primary personality. I've never asked about it. So then he formed his own council. Because in the quantum state, right, we're all one. And so there's a unified field, and you can be or do or whatever, anything, and time is not relative. So it's like really interesting to have this advanced creature, being, not a creature, show up and just start doing the work. And I was really good at it because, about 1990, I channeled Ra, the father of the central sun, and it burned me out. I was like a chimney. All my soot was gone. I was this open vessel. And because, when channeling happens, a self can get in there. And so one of the things that is important is to make sure, if you're going to do this work, that you don't have your own agenda come in. And so there's certain protocols that certain belief systems will do. But if you're going to transmit this stuff, you want to make sure that you're not in the way. And so that's what Kartron did. He was very cardboardy, like he was really no personality, because he was like extraterrestrial. And so he had to learn personality. And then he found the pile of composted sentences in my consciousness, and he started going through them, and he found out that humor was very important, because it could then short out the brain. When the brain laughs, it's like shorts out. So then you can get in there, because the brain is like, no, we don't know what it is. And it always blocks the spiritual flow unless you get balanced. And the mind is like, well, I don't know. It's like little Napoleon checking the ID, but it blocks the flow of divinity, because you got a big energy coming in, and it's like, but you got to make sure you go into the little checkpoint. Here comes the gate. It's like, stop it, because you want to bring in this flow. And so then Kartron was able to make that work. And I was very good, because and with this energy that he works with, which is central sun energy stuff, the gamma fields and the X-rays, the cobalt and the lavender colors, fields, which science has beautifully, artistically rendered, that they found. And when those colors came out, I'm going, those are the colors that Kartron's been doing since '94, because those are the main radiations, right? And so then I was doing that so much that I could then bring through this energy, because I have all these other ingredients in my being besides human. So that's the Kartron, but in a long-winded sort of way.
That's awesome. So we always hear about people channeling different people, and the higher up in the dimensions you go, the less physical form, the more detachment from, say, experiences on planets and so on. So I like the way you explain it with the essence. So that they're a being of essence, of pure consciousness, closer to source, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Kartron came in, divided himself into 5, made his own committee team, which, gosh, I wish a lot of us wish we could do, because we could run our own companies this way. I always said, if anybody cloned me, the world would be a better place, because I'm just a great person. And I also like the fact that laughter came in there. But anyway, let's get back to the dimensional thing. So he comes through, and he had to develop some personality in order to communicate with you, or just in general. And because you're a walk-in, right? So let's explain that a little bit. So you're a walk-in, and you became a walk-in around what year? And did you become a walk-in through a near-death experience, or?
It was the soul being pulled out and something else being brought in. And
Okay.
it's not fun. My particular version was, it was like, the McCormick line is very strong-willed, and so good luck on trying to take us out, because like the coat of arms is like, we're going to protect the people. And so we have a very strong tenacity. We're pernicious that way. And so to get me out, it came through the face, and it felt like something reached in behind the skull part of my face and started pulling off of the rest of the skull.
Mm.
And that was too intense, because before that, I didn't have really spiritual experiences. I had, the basic stuff. You
Right.
feel something's going. But then, the next memory, this was on Bell Rock during the harmonic convergence of August 15th through 17th of 1987,
Yes.
when Jose Arguelles was supposed to be, okay, it's going to happen, which was a misrepresentation of the Mayan version of ascension. But it was good enough to bring millions of people together, right? And bring all that
Sure.
up. And so then after that, I saw some guys in robes, and that was it. I said, I'm going to sleep now, because this is not computable. And then I woke up, and then I met several people, and they said, you're not in your body. And, without a spiritual knowledge base, you're going, well, if you're not in your body, where are you? I thought that was the only place you could be, right? Because you got a body, you're in it. But then you find out, and then Mother Mary came through this lady named Shirley that morning on Bell Rock, because there were thousands of people walking all over. 2 Russians came up from Russia asking me for mushrooms. I was like, okay, this is weird. In Sedona, Arizona, and so she channeled Mary, and she told me who the soul was. And so I was this being hired by King Herod, that was here to take out the Christ child.
Mm.
And so when she said, when you found out that, you quit, you stopped and went the other way. So that's when I realized that we probably started a protective society to protect the Grail bloodline.
Mm.
After that, because if he hires someone like me, who is a professional, to go after someone like that, then he must be the real deal. So then it was probably a guardian force that started. And you may find, Sandra, that there's a lot of people from the Christ Club that are here to finish what they started. And it was Jesus, in fact, literally in a body, who walked by me to make sure that the person that I was with at the time got me to Phoenix, so that I could be there for my walk-in experience in '87. And I mean, in the flesh. And I've never seen anybody look so good in a suit, a white suit. It was like, guy's hot. It's like smoking. It's like, whoa. And he just walked by and says, how's it going? I said, pretty good. And then, but the mind was watching him and not looking. And this is pre-spiritual experience. I'm going, okay, that was interesting. And then, but he came to visit that lady who was a witch, and her assignment was to get my ass down to Phoenix, and so that I could do the walk-in in '87. And so that was that's part of the journey. And so it was he who then made sure that this was set up so that the soul exchange could occur, so that the Zephyr, which was the new soul, could come in and finish what was started thousands of years ago.
Wow. Powerful.
Interesting, isn't it?
And then you ask yourself, like, why me? Like, what? But apparently we agree to a lot of things on the other side that we forget about, I guess.
And it's interesting, because the things that I've been doing, I'm like, why did I get together with the King of Hawaii and write 1,000 letters to world leaders starting in 1990? Why did I get together with the person that was in charge of the main temple of Lemuria? And why am I here in Atlantis and I find out that I've been probably working 14 million years on the Firestone, and that I am a builder of worlds? It's like, okay, this is not a normal person. So why is all this really cool stuff happening? It must be for a greater reason, right? Like you right now, if you look at your situation, here's Sandra tuning in, you were intuiting, the way you were describing before you hit record was like, okay, she has her own, her radar thing, and she gets the information. It's like, why is she doing this? Like, and so what purpose? And the things that you said no to, that then caused you to go in this almost like a boutique type of direction spiritually. It's like, and it is on a need to know basis. I'm glad that a lot of times we don't need to know. But
Yeah.
right now, I'm taking all my life experiences and I'm distilling it and getting ready to put it into screenplays, because I figured all these people are doing the spiritual work. And now you have this process of the new myth, the new story coming in, that the technology is going to meet in a perfect storm. The technology is going to make movies come into your living room. You're going to be in it, okay? And like more than just this AI type thing that we probably are in. And so with that technology, you add spiritual energy. Now you can create the situation of, say, Archangel Michael in your living room, right? And so who knows what it's heading to. And that's why, like you, I was watching you tune in to be available as a vessel so that we then can get that level of information and bring it through, right? So then we can show up. So yeah, it's interesting. And I'm glad that we're talking right now, because this is good. And brushing off the dust off my, who am I?
Well, I think, we're all here to spark and awaken each other, but we have to, it starts with ourselves and being as authentic as we can with ourselves. So when we come across somebody and something is said, you're like, I have no freaking clue where that just came from. But what happens is it awakens and sparks the other person to awaken. And so it's just like that woman that came up to you at the harmonic conversions and starts talking to you. She came to you to awaken something because she herself was authentic and channeling Mother Mary. And then you see Jesus, who I refer to as Yeshua. And then it changed your life completely. But if you hadn't been available to even have been there, to have just stayed put and listened, and that's what I think many people struggle with is staying put and listening, but listening to a point where we're discerning through our filters of empathic information. And being empathic just means we have the ability through sensories to process information. And so that's awesome.
And this was set up, this existence, whatever this is, this journey, with the multiple timelines and layers and subject matters that are quite profound. And is that at age 9, I remember telling my mother, life is short, enjoy it while you can. And so it was, and then the other signal, that the message that I got was, don't disturb the local life forms, the humans. Do not intervene. You don't want to change them, just observe them. I thought, okay, this is a very interesting thing for a 9-year-old kid to get. And then it was, I was in Oklahoma working in the oil fields, but I went to this state park at the Panhandle, and underneath the ranger station, I found this secret cave, and it was so dangerous. I crawled, barely could fit in there, and I found a 90-pound selenite, and it was a vein of selenite. So I snuck in illegally into this state park, and then in a cave underneath the ranger station, and pulled out this huge selenite crystal. It broke into 2, and so that's what I was using, half of that selenite as a pillow. Selenite is crown chakra, on Bell Rock in '87. So it's like, I'm not going to do that again, because felt like my face was being separated. But it's like that journey, right, was then led to this. And so the selenite became this beautiful thing. I don't know where it is, but so that's, it's interesting how our lives, and to be available for that and show up,
yes,
is so important. Because like my friend in Lemuria told me, she goes, the definition of grace is just showing up.
Yes, because we're taught with that pre-programming is do, be, everything's outside of you, everything's outside of you. And most people don't know how to show up and not do something. They don't know how to show up and just be fully present and just observe and listen and just filter the information. Not everything has to, come out of the mouth or, have body language. You can just be observing the information. I'm an observer, so I understood everything that you were saying.
Yes, and you're probably in the human design system or whatever, somebody who's a projector or whatever. There's 4 aspects. And so you probably find something in people and bring it out and project it to the world.
Yeah.
Or reflect it. And so like on Maui, I had a chance because it was a microcosm, and it allowed me to, everybody was coming from all over the world, and I was able to study society, because it was like things were really off with the Hawaiians and everything. It's like, okay, I need to figure this out. So I started studying societies and coming and looking for the most advanced versions of a civilization. And so I had to go back in time and study the civilizations of antiquity. And I found out the temple sciences, and that started that journey, which culminated into the quantum field generator that I created based upon the temple sciences, that I could take portable with me to vortexes. And so but on Maui, it gives you a chance to be like an isolated laboratory. And so I was able to, my mind was so busy, so big. I had to figure out, okay, this mind is bottlenecking it. So what am I going to do? I came up with a system. It took about 5 to 7 years to really have my mind comprehend its place so that it didn't restrict the flow of spiritual energy. And because you know, the mind is like in charge, right? It's got to be there. If it can't identify it, it can kick it out. And I'm like, I got a lot of flow coming through. I can't have some little Napoleon coming in saying, but it's not to get rid of it. Because a lot of people say, oh, that monkey mind is bad. No, it's not. It just has to know its place. And so I created a system and did a game with it. And that's very excited to not be in charge. And it's just because I proved to it that when it wasn't running things, all these really cool things that we could not have created show up, that the universe sets up, synchronicities and flow and really cool stuff. And the mind's, I'd say, I'm going for a cup of coffee 20 miles away, but you can get 1 mile away. It's like, doesn't make sense. It's like, doesn't have to. I'm sensing to go over there. So I showed the mind that we could utter flow when the heart and spirit was in charge. And that allowed it to be able to understand its place in the relationship, because you have your emotional human self, you got your cosmic emotions, you have your, right, you have the physical and the spiritual intuition. And then you get to the really cool stuff, which is the still, small, silent voice within, which is the voice of God. And if you can get to that, oh boy, you got a beautiful level of information, because it will guide you in whispers, really. And it will, then you'll just show up. And it's like really cool things can happen because you're into that higher synchronicity that's beyond the veil of life and death that we have to come through to remember to forget, so we can be separate even though we're one.
Yeah. So. That's so powerful. It makes me teary-eyed, because I think we're all trying to obtain some of that feeling. I mean, to me, it's a feeling. I don't know how far I've gotten on this whole connection, but every day is a learning experience, and I accept it for that. So everything's a lesson for me. Everything. And that's, you just said that amazingly. And I'm like, whoo, all right. Yeah.
And Kartron can talk about, in fact,
I would love for him to come through. Do you refer to him as a him?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a he signature.
Okay.
It doesn't have boobs, and so it's.
I mean, who does up there in quantum land? I mean, I love all these pictures I see.
I don't want to think about Kartron's boobs. It's not a.
Thank you. Let's not go there.
Oh my God, not a gender, but you know.
But you know what? That's the humor. That's the humor. I laugh at just about everything, including myself, more than anything. And I love what you were saying about how that just kind of resets and opens the flow of the brain. Yeah. So I must need that a lot.
And I'm like, oh, dude, what are you doing in my pile of composted sentences and thoughts? It's like, he started digging around, putting them together. And think of an ET trying to come up with comedy. It was like, oh my God, this is not good. Yeah. That kitty, this is a cosmic cat. And
no, that's okay, because animals come around. Don't worry about it. Animals just, I love it. I mean, I just love it. It just tells me where the frequencies are.
It shows up. This is the cat given by the angels, and
kitty.
gonna time for your hit. Okay, her name is Angel. I'll
Oh
talk to you
no.
later. Kartron's gonna come through, and he's gonna go with whatever. So I'll talk to
Yeah,
you
let's
then.
just go with it, and we'll just sit here and just listen and absorb and observe.
Excuse me. Hi, love you too. You just hang out, get stoned. Thank you. Do your job per the world. Calibrate the cat, because in the quantum field, right, this cat can access the quantum unified field
Yeah.
through Kartron. So it's like a giant broadcaster.
Oh.
Is it funny? And it comes in for every Kartron show. It's like, okay, oh goody, Patrick's gone. We can have Daddy K show up now, and I'll get some of that sugar.
Yeah. So just yeah, let him come through and tell whatever is needs to be told to the viewers, and whoever's listening, whenever they're listening, is when they're supposed to hear it. So
Kitty, I really need to have Kartron come through, but cat noses rubbing human noses are not the thing. And remember, flesh and claws are not good friends. Thank you. There you
yeah.
go. During a rainstorm yesterday, this area got calm, being the shores of Atlantis. It is a chaos that is surfacing that is very ancient. And so there's a lot of, belligerence and stuff as issues come up for people in the finale of this paradigm. And so it was very pleasant to see the calm, and we're seeing this continue to today. Sandra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Welcome.
It looks like gravity is working well because it grabbed one of your earpieces.
It did.
And so one of the things that we do when we arrive in the body is we will look at the fields of consciousness. As you know, we observe from the divine realms things not of what people accomplish in material ways, but whether at an evolution, the signature of their soul. So that's a harmonic musical symphony. And then also we look at the fields of consciousness to see where things are at as evolution. So today, it seems like some good clearing out has happened recently. And, all these catalysts of all this stuff is really triggering everybody for everything. And thank you very much for having us on your show today. It seems really, ominous, not predestined. Earth words are so clumsy. Couldn't we just project and get you this stuff rather than use all this mouth sounds? And so as we do this, it's nice to have a quiet energy today. And what, as you tune in, would you like to begin with?
I think I'd just like to begin with what has shifted recently, and some of the benefits from it, and maybe some tips to help us acclimate.
When you say recently, you mean individually or for the world and the human situation?
I think I'm going to go collectively. I think I'm going to go world. But you know what? I don't want to intervene here because, there may be some other points that need to be said that I don't like to be in control of the agenda. Does that make sense?
Here you are saying, I don't want to intervene, but oh, you have so intervened. You are busted, girl, because you are here. It's your show and we're on it. Uh-oh. And so it's like, wow, to have a body with spiritual awareness at this time between paradigms. One's just basically the fermentation process is coming up. And it's like the carbonation of the fermentation is now bubbling up. These are all the primordial stuff, right? Surfacing and expressing itself in different ways. So collectively, we often call this the galactic weather report, what is going on. And it is more like cosmic processes that will soon happen. There's going to be 3 solar events, 3 cosmic events happening this year. And there's fluctuations, and they are all designed to, calibrate, trigger, activate, program. And so, but on the ground here in the bodies, you guys have all these issues, and you've probably realized it's okay if we tune into your consciousness, right? And the consciousness of all the audience members who are or will be watching this.
Yes, please.
Okay. And so we're not going to peak too much, just enough. The situation that you have here is that this is not new. In fact, even from Atlantis, it came from other places, a lot of it. So this is the stuff that was under the crust of your modern societies. And so it's bubbling up because this vibration is causing alchemically to surface everything that is not in alignment with what is arriving now. And so it's going to bring up everything and in their face. And they can't get around it. And there's been notorious and nefarious stuff over the centuries because humanity, well, in some ways was considered like the sucker-legged race. It was like easy, just dump it off on Earth, be with the daughters of men, blah, 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 just put it over there and don't look at it. But also at the same time, Sandra, the Earth had the most creative souls from different races, worlds, galaxies, or wherever they're from. And so this is like a Heinz 57 most creative group of souls in creation in many ways. And so as they awaken, it's going to be very unique. This will be the artist's world and creators, right? When we say artists, we don't mean some guy taking a pen. We mean beings that can take their will and create temples of light, or add to the dimensions and create realities, create prophecies fulfilled and expressed. And really, as they remember to co-create again and brush off the dust of forgetting, then they get to really are going to show the world. Right? So these laggards who couldn't fit in were because they were this thing that took the furthest shadow, the shadow the furthest, right, out into the iod. And so their journey is coming back, because the laggards couldn't keep up with their ascending worlds. But those ascending worlds, Arcturus, Lemuria, Venus and all that, right? Those, they popped into an ascension, but there's a piece missing. And that piece came here. So Earth is very vital, right? So this is where the gauntlet meets the road. And as this happens, then all this stuff comes up, and this, how we interact. Patrick wrote this, it's very good, right? Our lives are shaped by our experiences. It defines our character, personality. And so the way that one determines into their process, determines the evolution, is how they interact with those experiences. And so the condition then is that everything's perfect on schedule. The issues are triggering things, people's truth is coming up. So that's flawlessly timed. And then this also is, if you want to look at it more ominous, the harvest of souls, which is basically just grouping souls wearing spirit. It's not really the soul. The soul is the universal frequency, right? But the spiritual raiment that the life is expressed around, called the incarnation, is showing its truth as all these triggers happen. This then shows them where they're at in their evolutions, or they're vibrationally preferred. And so now this grouping by vibration of soul groups is creating these packets of groups, and they will go to their respective reality. There are three primary possibilities, and then there's aspects of those. So there is, the dark, there is the light, the new earth, where going from the current earth to the new one of prophecy fulfilled. And then there's this middle of the road thing where humanity is still going through its stuff. And so it's doing quite well. And so we have processes that we've created that will allow people to stay more in balance during all of this. Did that answer all of your questions more than what you asked?
I think so. I think so. I think you have more to share.
Well, yes. This we created this to show how, and this, well, if we bring it up close to the camera, it won't be so small. So this is basically how time is laid out, right?
Mhm.
There's vibrational stacking, and these could be timelines, right? And the smooth line here at the top is a somatic experience. If you get to the really furthest thing away, because this is the God gate where the soul star is, and so an event can happen. All these are different versions of that event or an experience. And so in the linear journey, right, if you're in a beautiful harmonious state, you'll have a somatic bodhisattva-like experience. But the more you get away from your true soul signature frequency, the more vibrational polarized you become, to the point where you can get really intense, dense, and endangerment. And so depending on where you're at, right, you'll go up to the respective frequency. There is a way to go from one level of time or version of vibrational reality to the next. So does this help, this diagram?
Yes, very much so.
And so this is what we use to explain it. Now, here's what's really interesting, especially now in the last 2 years, that this is relative. That's why Patrick tuned into it. He's going, why am I making so many notes? And so are you okay to get into some what would be almost abstract reality, but is relative to what you guys are doing as light workers?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're just going to do these notes that Patrick tuned into. He will create these diagrams and stuff, and then we will translate them for him.
Yes, and we can always do an encore, as many as we need to continue the subject to help people as well.
Yes, that's right. We've had to do probably about 240 shows a year now, because there's so much stuff. And Patrick had to say, we've got to split the subscriptions on the weekends, because you have one that's talking about the process, but then you have the individual in it. It really is, there's a really big entry of information coming in. And this is not from this time, right? Because this timeline was artificially repressed. And that's what's coming in now, this higher timeline of prophecy. It should have happened in the 60s. It should have happened in the environmental movement of the 70s. It should have happened in the harmonic convergence of the 80s, right? And on. But they kept artificially repressing it through the false flag, conflict, wars everywhere. You're going to die now, fear-based stuff. And if you look at it in a quantum science sort of way, as long as they can keep this dissonance, right, then this light can't come in, it bounces out. But people are saying, nah, that's okay, we'll take care of it, right? Because they're waking up, they're saying, yeah, your little performance is very entertaining, but you mess with my kids. And so now I'll take it from here. And so the information for people's freedom is showing up from a different version of reality where it's worked through already. This is where there's this alignment. So we're going to read this and see if you get this. Our lives are shaped by our experiences. This is from Patrick. It defines our character, personality, and so timelines are vibrational versions of reality. They're stacked on one another. They're also parallel. We vibrationally align with our particular version of reality in quantum resonance. The highest is somatic, the lowest is, which is closest to the soul signature of the God gate that you get when you become a soul. And the lowest is the most dramatic, intense, and dense. So, as the experiences reaches their peaks and valleys, right? So, for instance, all of these things are overlapping with Patrick, but like the kingdom thing that he was doing will reach a peak, and then it will blend in with these other layers of reality, because each one's are on a different particular set of experiences. So they mingle. So as these experiences reach peaks and valleys, the weaving of time shapes the worldview and definition of past, purpose, and destiny. So for instance, if he's going to do this and he finds out the Hawaiians are suffering and he meets this king by predestiny and he says, I can write a letter for you. And then it starts a thing. Look at you, you got your show. You didn't choose a certain possible success rate. You came here and you're vibrationally bringing in something different. So this is determining that rate, right? And so each is separate yet enhances the other. When points in the continuums and versions of reality vibrationally align, a crossover of events, energy, and possibilities can occur. So when there's an alignment vibrationally, these points can think, and so things can jump from one timeline to the next. Something from a higher reality can show up in this one. And so how can you go from one level of reality to the next? By raising your vibration all the time to match a reality you choose to be in. You've probably heard all this, okay, you got to meet the reality, right? So you become available to the reality you want and unavailable to the reality that you don't want. So this is a diagram of, like, here's the different flows of time, but then these things align and then something can jump down. And now you have a higher version of reality coming into this one. And so that, so then how your life experiences shape the reality, your interaction with the experiences reveal your place in your evolution. The rate of evolution is determined by the qualification of higher possibility. So if you're vibrationally qualified, if you've done your work, and psychologically you're at a good way, you're going to be in this level of reality that's very pleasant. And so, but that works both ways. This is the cool part about it. As there's been a bleed through or jumping of timeline possibilities coming in, you're noticing that something that just doesn't belong here. Now, they tried to bring in the artificial continuum with the COVID. You notice how a lot of people said, this isn't the world I remember. And they're like going, okay, what's going on here? Well, it works both ways. So alignment with the higher possibility gives you access to the higher possibility. And it gives that higher possibility access to this current reality through your experience. So there's this stitching going on it was notoriously layered, but now there's this thing that's stitching and there's this coming up because it always goes to the innate program of the engineers of races and stuff. It will follow that flow. So does that make sense so far?
Yes, totally.
And
I just keep getting the chills everywhere. I'm like,
and so this is what Patrick is going. He's going, what the heck am I writing all these notes for? We might not even use it. Sandra has spiritual simplicity, and now we're going to complicate her life. No. Stop it.
Bring it on. It's not just about me. It's about everyone listening.
And so the higher possibility lands in this world, making it a better place while fulfilling your purpose. Okay, so your fulfilled purpose, right, unbinds you as beings of light from the current version of your reality. This is how you can edit yourself into a higher version of this world as you become available for that higher world, right? So, for instance, an example of accessing higher collective timeline. Now, here's where it's going to get kind of interesting as a concept. So we're going to let you know that the next thing that we talk about now, good notes, Patrick, can create and awaken a potential in the future. So we're just giving you disclosure on that. So that future possibility is invoked by your perception of it. And so it comes back to its past point in this now to begin as a possibility. And so here's, for instance, here's the now. Here's this, the new earth moment, right? So you're talking about this in the new earth, the current timeline. Well, here's what happens then. So as it comes back to the present past point in this now to begin as a possibility, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So then what happens is it comes in here, then it can loop back and create a different now. So here comes this future that you're talking about. It's being invoked, right? So then what that does is it creates a cause and effect for a different timeline, and you get into the new timeline of the new earth of a higher possibility. So this is the stitching of linear chronology.
Right.
So this is what's happening, and this can be invoked. So if beings of light use this and enough do it, right? And like, what is the possibility of this new timeline becoming the new reality here? Well, it depends, right? So you see how that works. It's very interesting because you guys are becoming unlinear, and you're getting to the place where you're not chronologically relevant. You notice how your past and your future seem to be out of focus, and you're like going, okay, all we have is this now. You notice how you said before the broadcast, we are listening to the conversation that you had with Patrick, that it's got to be simple, right? No complication. We can't have busyness. And so that's because you're becoming momentary, and your moment is becoming the thing that's replacing the past and the future. As this happens, your moment expands. So then non-linearly, right, you're in the moment. Well, what did you use as a reference for linear time? Was your memory and your recollection, your experience and perception. Well, if that goes and the future is uncertain even more now you have the moment, which is expanding. So instead of remembering something and having your mind be all busy, it comes into the point of things showing up at the perfect timing, and you know what to do. So memory is replaced with knowing in the moment. So that's what's happening with you guys. And that explains the first set of questions that you asked in this broadcast, which is, what's going on, Kartron?
Well, is that one of the reasons why we're experiencing, we don't know what day it is or what time of the day it is?
Oh, yes. What's the reference? Tuesday, it's like, yeah, and okay, I show up, things happen, I'm dealing with it. It may feel like you're not getting Alzheimer's, but maybe sometimes. It's like, wait, and you may feel less functional.
Yes.
Like, I used to be able to get so much done. I had a list. I was so good. I can only do like 1/4. I'm going to have to go to Florida now and retire because I have melted. And it's like, what am I getting? Senile? And so, but no, it's like basically the brain is having to go through a re-imprinting, because as Patrick, well, yeah, that's why you, instead of Alzheimer's, if you don't have the time, you can do sometimers, That's a joke.
I know.
And
I like it though.
Whenever we say it's a joke, it's still being worked on. So that's the disclaimer. It was quite interesting to find the fermented sentences in Patrick's brain. And we found out when people laugh, they short out. It was like, oh, we can get past that brain barrier. This is good, because we got to get in and kick your tires and check your oil and get your heart opened up.
Yeah.
Now, meeting Rebecca, who Patrick's with for 8 years now, she, working with the angels, is very interesting. She's this mystery, and she works with this big angels. And so it's like, it was Gabriel that told Patrick that he is a maker of worlds and that he's connected with the Firestone of Atlantis. And so Patrick's like, okay, Gabriel. And, so this is where you're at now as humans, and you may feel like you're non-functional, but you are showing up more for the moment. This is where the new information comes in. And as far as the galactic weather report of what's going on, it's an industrial strength percolation that has to happen to get these thousands of years old program of dysfunction, control, manipulation, enslavement, disease, whatever, out.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick's like Frank Zappa said, if there's a bet between you and the world, bet on the world, because it's like, it's going to take a lot of miracles to get this going. So the human reality is literally is becoming unimprinted right now. And these things are triggered. They surface, they're accessible, so they take them apart. This is all part of the deconstruction of this matrix, right? It's being shut down. and taken apart because they're going, whoa, this was like a biosphere of a matrix. Let's see what's here. And they'll take it away and they'll study it. And it goes into this database of the mind of God. Because this is for the new universal dawn, what's happening here. What happens when we take a bunch of the lowest souls, the laggards, furthest from the light, put them in a sphere and just let them all do stuff and get them caught in these karmic loops and reincarnations and be stuck too long in polarity. And now they're like going, whoa. So there's a lot of discovery in the divine realms happening right now of this world. So what they do during de-engineering constructs of paradigm phases, like right now as this one closes up, is they'll trigger something, or they'll allow the shadow to trigger it, and it comes up. It's like, whoa, I'm so scared, I must put a mask on or whatever. So it's like, okay, boom. And it's accessible instead of all merged into this fabric that is not accessible, right? So then they go, okay, all right, we'll take this out. You notice how wherever you are, like down here in Florida, the idea that there was a corona, it's like it doesn't exist in the timeline.
Yeah.
It feels like it never happened. Where did it go? What about murder hornets that had really bad social media sites? They were supposed to end the world. Where did they go?
Yes.
And so when you have these things of ominous destruction or imminent threat or annihilation, sometimes all you need, Sandra, is to have it trigger in the psyche, in the consciousness, in the perception, and that's enough. It does not have to manifest in the physical, because it's a lot messier, right? When you have a big mess, like bombs going off or something. This is a very clean clearing up and ascension going on. We're so glad that we don't have to manage it, because there's a lot of stuck on stupid right now.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about, you made a big broad statement here that what's going on right now is clean. So what we're saying is, what is happening to clean out the earth globally right now in the current situations that we're in is going smoother or cleaner than it could have been, correct? Because of the change of timelines.
Yes, and because the completion of certain levels of evolution that was necessary to have humanity to remain in.
Okay.
The glitches of the karmic reincarnation cycles were artificial. So they just keep reincarnating, right? And the light workers, you guys, there's a kitten down there in that dimension. I got to go rescue it. Oh, damn it. I've incarnated again as somebody who's going to help the cause. So you guys are easy because you come from ascension worlds. You're here as gifts. You are here to help ascend and awaken races, right? Even if you've got to die many times and be the offering, right? That's your nature. That's universal gift. So you come in from your worlds, you're going to bring heaven to earth, and then you find out what's here. And this is a foreign environment. It's very volatile and dangerous, and your kind is not made for it as beings of light. And so you come into a battlefield that you just weren't geared for or trained, and so you get caught in it, right? And it's like, oh my God, because there's all the very advanced shadow things that have been working for thousands of years. And so you get caught in these loops, and it feels like, God, I'm abandoned, I don't have help. So you said the current state of the earth. Were you talking about humanity or the earth itself?
Both, actually.
Okay, well, the human condition is no longer the earth's responsibility near as much. That covenant being completed, where the earth had to sacrifice herself ceaselessly, being finished, now the human reality is vibrationally going different than the earth. And so humanity needs to now pick up all for its own awakening. And there's a lot of stuff that messed with you guys. So you got quite a steep curve, but you know, the human spirit is renowned in the universe because you guys are battle born and bred and sweet, street smart, and you're very gamey tasting, so you're not very chewy. And so it's like, so like whatever they put the humans into, they seem to just come out better. It's like, whoa, frustrating. These are our laggard little slave groups, but ooh. And in this way, just to let you know that humanity is the service agent for these beings that are manipulating them. So they're like the laggard, really advanced souls that haven't awakened, but they're the hosts of this shadow manipulation, real big dark stuff that's from all over the cosmos. So the human is made up of very interesting qualities that are not in the other races. So to be able to take this programs of thousands of years, gentrification, enslavement, disease, downtrodden, life force extraction, all these other yummy things that make life worth living here, right? The world of Kant, obsessed with death, paradigm of negation. And one of the reasons for that in the quantum science is because when the Earth flipped over, with Atlantis and Lemuria 13,000 years ago, time went backwards, which then created a sanctuary for the lesser light or shadow. So here's this thing that's writing itself, getting into the chronological celestial procession of the heavenly bodies called the universal time. And so you have two different timelines, right? Two different opposite directions. So this one of negating process is really stuck. The parasite has become very entrenched into the host. To get that out means you have to vibrationally dissonate the situation. Do you understand what that means?
Not really. Could you explain that a little bit better?
Okay. Two dissonant vibrations cannot exist in the same quantum space.
Okay.
And so the parasitic life force sucking energy, the humanity is going up for the ones that are choosing to. So they're becoming vibrationally different than the ones sucking on them when they were trying to keep them down. And so as this happens, they can't hold on anymore, because if they do, and this human goes up, this thing dies to itself, and it has to become, it can't play its shadow games anymore. So it has to, right, it's trying to keep as many people down in fear, because it's going to take it with it to the next matrix. And so you have a situation to where vibrationally more humans than ever before, not just because there's 8 billion bodies, but more human souls than ever before are now in the waking up collective. As this happens, then all this stuff surfaces. This light isn't coming just from above. It's from within. It's from the ancient civilizations. It's from the earth soul that's coming in. It's like, it's getting hot and heavy. And so this bandwidth of control, manipulation, domination is being sandwiched, and it's getting very compressed and very nervous, because it doesn't have your connection to soul and source. And so as humanity wakes up, it's saying, nah, right? Because as long as they can keep people engaged, right? Do you know what the missing element in the universe is here? It's focus. And so if they can keep you focused in your little phones or this, whatever, the social media thing, then they got your attention, because energy goes where energy flows where attention goes. Mm-hmm. And so then if you are saying, nah, then there goes another food source. So the earth, soul is coming in. We are doing this whole year. Patrick's going, this is the most chaotic and unpredictable time. And we're supposed to do Kartron for the whole year? It's like, what? And so 2021, January, it was decided it's time to create your temples of divinity and get you all to this place where your new divine soul self can be here, that's not separated in incarnation, right? You are becoming a complete being, and the veil is not separating that anymore. 2022, we are getting into all the details of the new earth, about what's there, the 5 worlds of vibrations, how to interact with them, get connected with it, the temple of the new earth, which is like an antennae that brings in the fields, the frequencies, because instead of time, you have fields, and there's the different worlds. And this is the emissarial place the new earth fulfills in prophecy, where all these races and beings are connecting, right? So the soul of earth is invoked, and it's coming here. So this current earth is getting its soul. So we're like, well, we better get people ready to be the ambassadors and emissaries for the new earth. So they will go back and forth. And the newest comes through your lives as you awaken into that frequency. So the majority of humanity that is not choosing to go, it is not decided, and that's fine, right? If we ask you a question, and this is for all your beings, are you done saving the world?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes.
I'm done saving the world.
Okay.
I've really honed it in on me, myself, and I of it, in being the best that I can be, as well as because I know whatever it is that I'm doing to strengthen myself, it is echoing out around me, which is why about 5 years ago, I instantly on a drive going somewhere said, please cancel, delete everything that has been programmed. I don't want anything to do with it. And I want all the information coming back through that is pertinent for my highest good, as well as hearing the new information in it with different sensories. So I literally deleted or asked to have it deleted. And I got confirmation the next morning when I couldn't find my car keys. And then I had to have a little conversation that I didn't mean forget that, but I'm done saving the world. Yes, that I think I'm saying that correctly.
Okay, so here's a little master technique. As long as someone is engaged in a certain version of reality, they will stay connected with it. By completely disengaging from it on all levels, then they become vibrationally available to go to the level of frequency where they're at. And so if you're done saving the world, then this version, these are all different versions, right? Up here, it's beautiful, pleasant, divine, flowy. An event can happen or an experience or a person, right? And so then if you are done saving this version of the world and you are able to completely let it go, then you go up to your natural state, which could be here or some beautiful place. And this is where heaven starts coming in for you in the upper bandwidth. So that's one of the keys to get to the place where you can be most effective, is by being effective, saving the world. Ironic, yes?
You know, it really is. And this is a lot of information for all of our viewers to go through. So what I would like to do is maybe have some closure here and do a part 2 of when you get to this point of not saving the world and you're being able to be up in these different vibrations. Now what tips can we do? So maybe we can do that for an encore, part 2, if that would be okay with Kartron and with Patrick.
That's fine. Just let us know. It's probably time to come out again, out of the cosmic closet. And if you like a conclusion, usually these type of broadcast events have a conclusion.
Yes.
And we could just show you the 3 breaths to soul.
Yes, please.
And this will give you a great place to begin the process to make yourself available to a higher version of who you truly are. So let's do that. And this is something that people can use for themselves. And it's very simple. As we are into practical divinity, that's why it's like, oh, spiritual simplicity, well, duh, right? It's like, well, of course, if you can make divinity practical, then it becomes real. Because why else is there so much fervor about control this little physical world with these souls? Is something much more important going on, right, than what they are alluding to. They'll pretend like, oh, you're nothing, you have no power, but nah, when humanity finds out who they are, then guess who gets the testicles? And so and the people are going, oh my God, gig is up. And what they used to be able to run to different worlds, but not anymore. So we're going to do the 3 breaths to soul. Oh God, she ascended. Sandra, you're gone. What happened? Left on the mothership without us. What are you doing? Didn't even leave a note on the cosmic fridge. Sandra. Okay, so everybody, are you ready? Sandra's supposed to have this. And so the host has, okay.
Continue. I just had to do something.
we were like, oh God, she ascended. The host is gone. She didn't leave a note. Oh no, she's supposed to do this. First breath. The 3 breaths to soul goes beyond all belief, all perception. It has to be universal. If you got a body, it's breathing, right? Usually aspirating with oxygen and air. So first breath of soul, you're going to breathe in yourself. And so what you're going to do is you're going to inhale and just imagine all of yourself as an individual, separate from creation, come in on the count of 3. When you do that, you leave your stuff, you leave your career, your identity, your notoriety, your family, everything else. Just bring yourself. 1, 2, 3. And just see yourself extracting. And hold the breath. We're adding quantum energy now, which is creating a catalytic. Exhale, the self goes up. The luggage goes away. And just go to that still point then. Beautiful and relaxed. And just go into this place. It's like after a long day, you just let that world go. It's the stillness within. As it integrates, take your second breath. This is the one of purpose, the greater reason why you are here. It doesn't even need to know what it is, because that too is changing. 1, 2, 3. Just breathe in the greater reason. Extract it from the world. Don't bring luggage. Quantum energy added. Mingling together. Exhale the luggage of the purpose, and the purpose goes up. Let it go. Fall into the solace underneath the stillness within. The solace is in the primordial void of substance. And so it is non-formed. The void of substance is the material that they build worlds, star systems, dimensions. This is the building blocks of creation, yet formed. So you're in a formless liquid light. On the count of 3, breathe that in. 1, 2, 3, and let yourself become formless. Liquefy, expand out, lose the body. You are just this energy, this essence, your vibration without form. Third breath, breathe in your oversoul, the one that's way too big to come in. 1, 2, 3, just breathe a really bright soul and let it mingle into your auric field. And just feel your aura getting more and more powerful, brighter and brighter, vibrationally raising your energy to extreme levels. All these other things go away that are not at that frequency. And now, on the count of 3, 2 angels open up your chest. 1, 2, 3, and just see yourself falling back into the inner soul within. Do this now. And as you are in the inner soul, the animus of your life, look out at your physical existence. Your physical life is out there. It's the busyness, the stuff you do, the life you live. But you are looking at it from your soul within. This is the place of objective observation. You are not in your life. You are observing it from a great distance from the universe within. Now, objectively, you can watch yourself being subjected. In your life, it is subjective observation. You're caught up in it. You're doing all this stuff. In the inner soul, you're objectively observing, and now you get to watch yourself. When you watch yourself from this inner place, you get to see yourself be triggered or activated or react or respond or interact. And so this is a very powerful place to observe your own existence And this will give you the vantage point necessary to begin the process of getting clarity on those things in your life that subjective existence cannot provide. And wish to thank you, Sandra, and everybody for having us on your show. We are complete. Farewell.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hello, Patrick. Well, everybody, we're going to end this, and just know we're going to do this again very soon, because I think there's so much information that we all need to hear, and we need to be able to open ourselves to the next levels. So, Patrick, I want to thank you for taking the time today and bringing through Kartron. And go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. It was great. And let us know when the next time is, and it'll happen.
It's going to be soon, probably.
It's all good.
There's a lot going on. So
yes, there is.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience?
Well, Pat Mac 33 and Kartron 999. If you guys want to be on the broadcast, it's Patrick McCormick's Facebook for the public stuff. We give away 60% of the stuff. So if you guys want to watch that, then you can see if Kartron is something you'd want to explore further. So, and then we do the subscription stuff on Zoom. So it's all good. Thank you so much, Sandra. And I look forward to meeting with you again.
Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and put your links in the description so people can click and join and get more information and be a part of the new world building.
Yeah. The new earth.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
All right. Well, much love, everybody. We'll see you on the next Keeping It Spiritually Simple. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.